And the word of the day out here today is wind. There is plenty of it. Earlier today, the women were saying they did not practice in any wind, but that all changes right now.
Paul Ulibarri.
I hope that checks up for him. Plenty good.
Uli getting a green flag as this first hole has a water carry.
For Fort Mill, South Carolina, two-time world's champion, Ricky Wysocki.
And Ricky Wysocki sitting at 9 under par to the tee. And Anthon jokes and says, that's not bad. A perfect shot here by Wysocki.
And last on the card, from Grass Valley, California, Barsby.
Barsby's turning over hard. It's continuing to carry wide right. We're going to see if he'll get a green or a red flag. And the spotter gives him the green flag. And Barsby with an uphill approach shot. Looks very effective.
I was wondering how aggressive they'd be able to be, knowing if they get over that hill, there's going to be a little bit of wind coming at them. Greg made it look easy.
And we'll learn throughout the day, Josh Anthon is a very quick player. He steps up and throws. We'll try and get in position every time he does. Looks like Ricky Wysocki will throw last. He's going to wait for Paul Ulibarri to throw next.
Ricky looks like a picture up there. I can't wait to see that shot.
And Uli's is just wide, however, on the right side of the basket. Steve, as usual, here on the Pro Tour, we're going to be mixing in the women's shots from the lead card earlier today. However, a little bit different format. It's not every single shot that they threw. Tell us what you did.
So we were trying to tell a story today. When someone, nice up shot by Ricky. He's just inside circle one, maybe just outside. So nice little phone ring. Ricky recomposed himself, and then someone on another hole hits a good shot. Ricky dials it in, center chains.
Uli also opens with a 3. Josh Anthon, approximately 15 feet. And we're feeling the heat of the sun really for the first time today. It was a little bit chilly and very windy, but no problems. 3s all around. We're moving on to hole 2.
It's interesting thinking about what's going on through his mind. There's some point where he has the disc he wants and some point where he wants to switch.
I think he was playing off the wind. However, he finds himself going right through the lower hanging tree branches there. Uli also faced with this stiff headwind. Looks to be a mid-range of sorts in his hands. And looking for a rollout, and he's got just that. a very aggressive play here by Wysocki. He goes with a roller that is heading down toward the water and carrying right. Barsby's looking for a forehand.
So Ricky was 1 for 7 in circle 2 putts yesterday, and he was 3 strokes behind. So if he can clean those up, he's going to be looking good. And I think he was probably pretty happy with that first putt. He's 1 for 1 circle 2 today.
And Barsby was looking to go under the branches. However, a wind lift says get up over it, and we'll get on with it. All right, let's see what the women did on hole number 2. And Uli's forehand catches a branch, and it looks like it may have carried OB right. We'll have to see when we move closer. Trying to keep it away from that water on the left side. Josh Anthon hovers low on the right line. And a great approach shot there by Wysocki, going with a very overstable sharp edge. And a very straight forehand there by Greg Barsby. Very few people have that shot in their bag.
After Barsby's shot, you saw he just looked super loose. He looks really comfortable.
Grabbed good chain on the left side, however, just pushed out. That one could have stayed in maybe on a calm day.
It really could have. I think he expected the wind to push it up and right a little bit more than it did.
And I am almost speechless here. That was dead center pole and somehow popped right back out at Barsby. He very quickly picks up, puts in, and moves on. There's nothing else you can do about that. What an unfortunate break for Greg Barsby. That, wow. I don't know what to say there, Steve. We're going to be moving on to hole 3 here in a moment. Any words on that?
Ouch.
All right, we're moving to hole 3.
Ricky Wysocki releases late, kicks OB. Josh Anthon puts it off to the right, looking to hyzer back. Looks like he's got good distance. He's going to be putting for the birdie. Might be putting into the wind. Greg Barsby on the tee. He puts it out left. Looks like it's going to skip right into the circle. Hopefully that one sticks. Ulibarri using the traditional route right up the middle. Gets a kick. He's got about 65 to 70.
Wysocki. And Uli outside what? And Ricky doing a little bit of work here on hole number 3. He's worked very hard for that penalty 4. And Barsby back on track with a birdie here on hole number 3. Josh Anthon inside 20 feet. And rarely will you ever see a miss by Anthon. I think today we'll be in for a special treat. Josh Anthon, one of the hottest players on tour. I'm glad you can join us here for the second round at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. We have a very just a bit low here for Anthon. That is a mid-range he's throwing on this 423-foot blind downhill shot.
Barsby puts it up, the wind brings it up a little higher, cuts left. He's going to have a tough look out of those woods.
There is an OB path on the right, as well as a Mando you must navigate left side of. And that is carrying to the right side and looks to be OB. And Wysocki with the left gap. Doesn't seem to hit a tree, goes all the way through, and circles edge for Ricky Wysocki. And laying up right under the pin is Greg Barsby. Steve Dodges called it. Ricky Wysocki from circle 2. He is now 3 for 3, and we're just 4 holes in. Josh Anthon wants to do the same. This is to save his par. And after catching a tree branch, it looks like he gets most of the chain. However, it drops down and falls out of the basket. And Uli will walk away with the bogey 4. Hole 5 was now famously aced just yesterday by Greg Barsby. Unfortunately, no video of that action, but Barsby with the ace yesterday on the next hole, and he'll tap in for the par. We'll see you in a few moments from hole number 5. And seems to be a little bit of a footing issue there by Wysocki. However, that does result in a red flag from the spotter just outside of the baseball diamond. Barsby up to tee next. And then almost immediately got a wind bounce as he released it. And Barsby gets a green flag. And that seems to have turned over on Anthon slightly out of his hands. That's coming back left and will be out of bounds. Uli's trying to get a good wind read. He's looking at the flags, also throwing up a little bit of grass here. That's on a good, fast hyzer line. He needs that to get left. It's carrying. That looks like it may be. And again, you see the wind pushing the disc both up and down as it swirls out here in this open area.
I guess these guys have switched to very overstable discs, and Ricky put some serious action on that. That thing was flying out of his hand very quickly.
And Barsby with a conservative approach to the base of the elevated basket.
I'm a little surprised. Let's see if we can capitalize a little bit.
This would be for a 4. And it looks like he'll be.
That was his drive.
Can he go 4 for 4? Hits off the high left side of the cage. Josh,
this wind seems it's ranging from 0 to 25 miles an hour, and Josh threw it 0 and then 25, said they're going to go over the basket, and I didn't notice a significant change in Ricky's putt, but you can't help but wonder, when you're 70 feet away or 60 feet away and you're aiming pretty high up on these elevated baskets, how much of a wind do you take into account?
Well, we'll see how that plays out throughout the round. Yesterday, Josh Anthon came up to me later and said, I had no bogeys and no OB strokes. And here on hole number 4, it looks like it has bit him just a little bit. We have a very lengthy walk over to hole number 6. We'll be back with you in a few moments. Stay tuned. You're watching live disc golf right here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I know it has been one of the longest in the last few years. This has also undergone a few changes and iterations. Barsby with a hyzer somewhat carrying over the OB, but finds himself center fairway, and really that is a position you want to be in on this hole. That was perfectly executed.
He'll be able to be plenty aggressive. He's got a tailwind for his next shot. Ulibarri basically sitting on top of Greg Barsby.
Great shot by Uli. Wysocki will be looking to do the same. I bet he has a little bit more carry on this. And just that, a little bit further than the previous 2 shots. And Anthon
already throwing
is very quickly running up to the tee, gets closer to the OB line. Not really an advantage, but also in great position. And Paul Ulibarri opting for the forehand, keeping it right in the center of the fairway. We're going to move into a and Josh Anthon also putting it right into the center. Just throughout the last few years, this was typically known as a par 5. It has the same distance to it with slightly different rules, and all of these competitors seem to be very content if they can simply get up and down, take their 4, and Barsby taking the hyzer out, coming in right at us, and that's going to end approximately 30 meters to win the 18 baskets that are played on out here at the Eureka course this week. And a mistake by Paul Ulibarri puts him OB no more than 20 feet from the pin. You've never been one to state the obvious, Steve, so
I thought that was clear. Josh Anthon, a much more straight shot, gets it just inside circle 1. My guess is Josh is going to be putting for the, is this a 4 this year?
This is 4, as I've been told, at least.
Okay, so he'll be putting for the par. Uli's going to have a longer putt for the bogey. And this is Ricky Wysocki for birdie.
And within 15 feet, there's 11,000 or more people out here come Sunday.
I would fully expect that. Especially it's Greg Barsby lays it to within 5 feet. Very nicely done.
And another putt for Anthon.
That was not a gimme putt. That was a 20-footer. But if all your circle 1 putts were that hard, you would not be 94% inside circle 1.
And Uli takes his time to secure that bogey 5 here on this very long hole number 6. And Ricky was thinking about the touch there. We've seen sometimes Ricky Wysocki with a very stiff putt, and he wants to make sure with this wind there's not any chance for it to catch the chain and possibly pop back out, as we saw earlier in the round. We have a brief walk over to 7. We'll be back in a few moments. And with OB on the left side, we see Greg Barsby go with a very gentle forehand flick here on this par 3. And Ricky also lines up a forehand. He stands still from the tee. Josh Anthon, third to throw. I thought he said he was going to lay this one out. Maybe that's what he calls a layup within 15 feet. And Uli also going with the forehand.
Go in.
It's carrying right past the pin. We'll be back with the... missed opportunity here by Paul Ulibarri from inside 20 feet. Ricky will clean up. Josh Anthon no more than 12 feet. We're going to see 3 birdies here. Greg Barsby is just 4 feet from the pin. Uli unfortunately left out of the party frame. Here on hole number 7, he taps in. Again, a brief walk. We're onto the very difficult hole 8 in just a moment.
Yeah, Greg.
And peering the gap is Greg Barsby, that's tailing left. Great shot by Greg Barsby.
Greg Barsby is currently 1 behind our leader, Josh Anthon. And he's putting the pressure on with the last couple drives.
And a little flex there by Wysocki. Anthon is ready to go. Also playing a little turnover flex shot there, Josh Anthon, center fairway.
I don't know if it's true. It looked like that went about 50 to 80 feet farther than Ricky's drive.
And Paul's started to hyzer almost immediately as he made it through the gap. He may be finding himself in trouble. We've got and Wysocki is first to throw. He hits a tree on the left side, does not penetrate onto the peninsula. Meanwhile, we hear a gallery applause from the bridge hole, which is the next hole that these competitors will compete on.
So Paul Ulibarri went ahead and played it safe. He got the par. He's tied with, Paul McBeth. Paul Ulibarri is tied with Paul McBeth, oddly enough. Anthon goes off to the right into the jungle. That is not going to be an easy up and down from there. Paul Ulibarri puts it up, lets it ride left, gets through the gap. Can it sit? Oh, hits a tree, rolls back down into the woods with Josh Anthon. Not a good result for what looked like a good throw.
And that seemed low and light out of his hands. Another forehand here by Greg Barsby. This is a very difficult approach. Again with that touch shot. Slight turnover putter from 100 feet. Uli follows suit, puts it even closer. Looks like cleanup here on aisle 8. No problems for our lead card. And we have a very lengthy walk over to the bridge. We're moving on toward the back half of the course. Stay tuned. You're watching live coverage right here at the Ledgestone Insurance Open, presented by Discraft. And Barsby getting a green flag. Second to throw, Ricky Wysocki.
If that's going to hyzer back, he's going to be happy. We're happy with the release, though. Results are more important, I suppose.
Josh Anthons is hyzering to the left. He'll have a putt from there. And a few wind bounces by Uli. And the gentle jumper from 40 feet by Anthon is just short and left. And that may have been a little bit of a wind gust there, as he's now noticing after that got pushed down. Seemed to be on line, just low. Uli converts. Uli with a slightly different putting stroke than we've seen the previous weekend and every other weekend before that. And Wysocki brings it in with a birdie 2 here on hole 9 as we are rounding out the front half of this second round at the Ledgestone Insurance Open. More than $6,000 going to the winner this weekend. A massive crowd. Feel a tailwind pushing here on Uli's disc. And Barsby playing the low hyzer route, however, comes up just short and right. It's 500-footer.
It's 500 feet, and these guys are throwing over the basket. Barsby was playing that a little short, hoping for a skip. Didn't get it. Anthon hyzering in nicely, just in front and over the basket. Finishes just inside circle 1. Let's see how it's shaping up to be a very exciting last 2.5 rounds of this tournament. Holy!
Yep, there's putting going on while you're talking. Greg Barsby. And that obstruction certainly affected Josh Anthon. He tickled just a few chains. Wysocki is definitely concerned about his footing. You'll have to watch that he maintains balance after the release here. And Ricky Wysocki puts in yet another one. And Josh Anthon's Anheuser putt finds the bottom of the cage for a par. Paul Ulibarri left with less than 15 feet here for birdie. And as we move to hole number 11, one of the shorter holes on the course, we'll take a break and listen to a word from our sponsor and how you can support the Disc Golf Pro Tour through Patreon. And Paul Ulibarri first to tee here. Throws a very nice forehand flick. Next to throw will be Greg Barsby. Barsby also with a forehand. We'll see the same from Wysocki. Wysocki hangs it a little wider, even better shot and result. And I said it earlier, folks, learn your forehands for when you walk up to hole, just like hole 11 at 240. And a shout out by Josh Anthon. And welcome back to hole 11. If you've just joined us, Greg Barsby, Ricky Wysocki, both in for the birdies along with Josh Anthon, and Paul Ulibarri will take the lone par. Let's hole number 11, the shortest and easiest here at Eureka Lake. We'll move on to 12, the Ledgestone and hit the front edge of the water tower and has rolled OB. Rick Barsby will move to the drop zone. And Wysocki is not happy with that release. Also hits the water tower, and that also rolls OB. Anthon adjusts, he hangs it out wider to the right. They're faced with a headwind, and that finds himself inbounds. Josh Anthon with a great correction there. And Uli's also looks more like Anthon's. That's going to reward him as it's coming in. Great shot by Paul Ulibarri. Let's
Terry, did you see that?
I did, and unfortunately his OB. Ricky Wysocki will be to throw next. Ricky asking for it to sit down, and initially a red, then turns to green. He is inbounds along with a applause from the gallery. Greg Barsby ready to be off hole number 12 here. This is Uli for birdie. Anthon also converts, as we saw from Paul Ulibarri. Ricky will tap in for a bogey 4. We're going to move on to the last 1/3 of the course. Stay tuned right here for the Ledgestone Insurance Open, presented by Discraft. 10 feet, par 5, hole 13. And Josh Anthon heading up to that right side, just looking to come down and inbounds. He stays dry. Again, with plenty of stability, we see these guys trying to get up and over the water. Paul Ulibarri has done just that. Wysocki's hoping for that to sit, and he should be happy with that effort. Greg Barsby, 4th to tee. And Barsby hangs it out wider than anyone else in the group. And he is rewarded, putting himself on the landing zone. We have a very long walk to the other side of the lake. We'll be back. And Josh goes with what I believe is an Excalibur out and over the water's edge. and launching it up over the water that's just fading back. It catches a tree branch. And Barsby also out and over the water. We've got a lengthy walk. We'll be back in a moment. And Ulibarri had stepped up quickly to throw. We also see Wysocki going after the pin. Puts himself in great position. Birdie. Correction, that would be eagle. Basket and then sits down. He'll be looking at birdie, as will both Ulibarri and Wysocki. And a little on the safer side. He was hoping for that too. High left chain for Ulibarri on his birdie attempt.
That putter's let him down a couple of times today. Back on hole 11, here again on 13. It's about regrouping.
Earlier in the round, you stated how if he gets a slow start, you expect him to pick things up and finish strong. I think he's going to need to start doing that. He's running out of holes here, Steve.
Yeah, here's Ricky for birdie.
And that maroon-colored putter keeps finding the bottom of the basket.
What I was going to say was, if you had told Ulibarri going into the second round, going into the third round, he's going to be 4 shots out of the lead, I think he would be happy with that. The issue here potentially is that he might have higher expectations because of where he was. So,
and he will take the lone par, as he did a few holes ago. This is the lone par back on hole 7. The group's pulling away. Let's move on here at the Ledgestone Insurance Open, presented by Discraft.
Come on, dude, go.
And what a great shot here by Josh Anthon after the wait. He'd like to also thank Howard Johnson for the towel support this weekend.
So Drew is correct. He shot 3 down and moved up 30 spots. So he did have a good day. If he does that again, he'll be in about 3rd.
Wysocki's turns very late, and a very stern self-fist bump by Wysocki. Trying to keep it low as the previous 2 throwers did. Finds the tree on the left side. And just as Uli steps up to throw, there's a calmness of wind. Kisses off the tree, continues to hyzer. He'll be in a decent position from there.
Top 2 or 3. I think we'll see him in the top 25 after this event.
He opts for the turnover, which is heading still toward the water after a late turn. And he has found himself OB.
He decided to save him.
And what a crush by Uli.
It hooks up very nicely.
And Josh will find himself safe on the left side of the pin. And Ricky goes out over the water with a tall skyscraping hyzer. And he will be outside circle one. And that checks up for Barsby. Headwind keeps that up and over the pin. And Wysocki's off the front of the basket. He's going to move to 3 for 5 from circle 2. And that seemed to just drop out from under him. Again, headwind putt.
That seemed to defy the wind from what I would have expected, and clearly what Greg expected. It's going to be a double bogey for Greg.
And Anthon not disrupted by the caddy or someone walking during his entire stroke there. Great concentration there by Josh Anthon. Uli is in, and clean up by the other two on the card. Somewhat of a dejected or frustrated approach as we move off of hole 14. Hole 15, 315 feet, and it seems like a potential turnover is the play. There is a mandatory, so players must go left of the tree directly in front of them. Josh throwing a fairway driver turnover to the elevated basket, and the gallery closer to the pin proves. Ricky with a forehand. And Ricky's forehand has more carry. Also the left to right wind pushing on Barsby. After Ulibarri's missed opportunity, we see Josh Anthon putting in. Uli cleans up for the par. However, this will be the third time we've seen the other three competitors in the group all pick up the birdies, and unfortunately Ulibarri not keeping pace here. 5 feet. Josh Anthon on the tee. Josh steps up with a roller. Rolling right past Chad, our catch cameraman, keeping him up. And Wysocki, little T-pad yoga here. I think that looks like that's also carried to the right. Barsby will be third to throw, also letting you know that we should be fully caught up with our UDisc live scoring app. Thank you to UDisc and all of our volunteers who have helped throughout the weekend. And Barsby's roller has landed much further right than the other competitors. However, it rolls off in a distance where we can no longer see it. And Uli also puts down a roller, gearing right. The gallery approves. And Wysocki with a standstill harp approach, forehand. Very smooth putter approach here by Anthon. And lunging forward. And a step putt by Ulibarri, which catches a rim and rolls away. From outside the circle, he is high on the Discraft Chain Star here. A rough hole here. I apologize, that was a national tour victory 6 years ago, actually. And he's two-time dagger stamped. Putters finding the bottom of the basket yet again. And in just a moment, we're going to move over to the beautiful hole number 17. Just 2 left to play. Stay tuned. You're watching live action right here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Hole 17, 285 feet. And Josh hits the dock on the right side. Barsby opts for the forehand after seeing 2 backhands. And he also will find himself OB on the sidewalk. And Uli takes a higher, wider approach and sticks the landing. Ulibarri's picking up strokes here on hole 17. We have a long walk. We'll be back in a moment. Great forehand flick here by Josh Anthon from the drop zone. And Ricky flirts with the OB sidewalk, however he is safe. And no problems for Barsby. We're going to move on to the green where Uli will be picking up 2 strokes at least on the entire card.
He's going to do a lot better.
Well, and speaking to that, he has very high standards for himself, and I'd say if he shot 18 under, he'd still feel like he left a few out there. So Wysocki and Ulibarri in, or Wysocki and Anthon in. They'll take 4s, as will Greg Barsby, taking the tee and a 2-stroke advantage on hole 17 is Paul Ulibarri. We've got just 1 to play. We're watching the chase card move off the tee on 18. We'll be back with you in a few moments after a word from our sponsors here at the Ledgestone Insurance Open presented by Discraft.
So I don't think they've watched the women's 18th hole yet. Is that correct, Terry?
Unless you numbered them incorrectly. And I was going to mention a moment ago that roller is the shot here. It goes up toward the OB and is safe. Over the last few years after watching this hole, whether it was hole 18 last year or I believe hole 11 or 12 a few years ago, roller is the very aggressive professional shot here. And that is also coming in. Wow, and it does, that was going to carry even further. It just, when it looked like it was going to turn over, it then stabled up. Unfortunately hitting a tree though. Thank you for tuning in. Tomorrow, again, join us. Please go out and like and share. Follow along. Disc Golf Pro Tour along with SmashBoxxTV. Thanks to all of our supporting sponsors, including the newest that have been added. Steve, you mentioned earlier, Upper Park Bags, as we watch Ricky Wysocki's roller. Drawing the wrong kind of metal.
I think that might have saved him from going OB. That thing was pushing way hard right. What do you think, Terry?
The wind was pushing it up toward the parking lot. Tough to say, but that is still plenty of distance.
So after seeing those 3 rollers, Greg Barsby is probably going to opt for a very safe mid-range.
Yeah, because Barsby's known as that conservative player that does not play into crowds or galleries. And actually, it looks like he may be lining up a forehand. So a little bit more conservative than the backhand roller, but looks to be almost the exact same result. A very impressive shot by Greg Barsby here on his final. And Wysocki's carries toward the water. I believe that stopped short of the water. And tough to tell exactly where Barsby's side. And Josh comes in with a forehand. His caddy likes it. Looks like it's going to be deep. And tough to say, it looks deep. Uli also goes with a forehand. That is the move here, as it is going to be fighting the slope of the fairway here. Barsby very quick to throw.
This is
smooth forehand by Wysocki. And like yesterday, Josh Anthon finishes with a birdie. Very, very impressive performance out here through 36 holes.
That was a tremendous putt into this wind. Nice.
Another great putt from just inside the circle, about 30 feet for Paul Ulibarri.
And that putt will secure his spot on the lead card tomorrow.
Barsby will tap in, as will Ricky Wysocki.
Yeah, Paul.